the building of the Mishkan speaks about the Aron, the most important part of the whole entire assembly of the Mishkan. And the pasuk says, "V'tzipisa oso zahav tahor." You have to cover the Aron with pure gold. Mibayis michutz hisapenu. Has to be gold inside and gold outside. And the Gemara says in Maseches Yuma, and Daf Ayin Beis Amud Aleph, that from this we learn, Amar Rava kol Talmid Chacham she'ein tocho kivaro. Any Talmid Chacham who is inside doesn't reflect the way he's acting on the outside. Ein no Talmid Chacham. If a person's inner character is not as pure as the way he acts on the outside, so it's not a Talmid Chacham. The Aron wasn't just gold and beautiful on the outside; it was gold in the inside. We couldn't even see that part, but it was gold in the inside. And that represents the Torah. The same thing as someone who embodies, reflects Torah, could act one way on the outside, but inside it has to be the same. Now, as a side point, it doesn't really mean that whatever it is inside also has to be outside. You could be greater inside than you are outside. For example, they say about the Chafetz Chaim. When people talk about the Chafetz Chaim, they say, well, he was such a tzaddik. So about the Chafetz Chaim's tzidkus, the way he spoke. For some reason, you look at the Mishnah Berurah, and you look at any of his other Svarim, and you realize he was a massive Talmid Chacham of the highest level. People don't talk about that so much. So they say that the Chafetz Chaim used to daven that people shouldn't think of him that way. People shouldn't think that he's a big Talmid Chacham based on his Svarim. They asked, how come he didn't daven that they shouldn't think he's a tzaddik either? So some have suggested that it's because he himself didn't realize necessarily, he didn't think people would think of him that way. So he didn't daven that way. Okay, but either way, you can be greater on the inside than on the outside, but you can't be shining and showing something on the outside when inside you're not really there. But there's a question on this Gemara, and that is, there were really 3 boxes to the Aron. It was 1 box of gold, the inner box, then there was a box of wood, and then there was another box of gold. So what does it mean that your tocho has to be kavaro, that the inside has to be at the outside? Part of the inside wasn't gold. It wasn't exactly gold in from all the way out. There was a box of wood in the middle. The Gemara says in Maseches Brachos, and Daf Ches Amud Aleph, the Gemara tells us a story. Rabbi Gamliel was the Nasi, and when he left his post, the day that he left his post, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah became the new head, there was a major influx of new Talmidim, new students into the yeshiva. So much so that there's machlokas in the Gemara whether there were 400 new benches that had to be purchased to get in there, or 700. Enormous amounts of new students coming into the Beis Medrash. What happened? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, they wanted to hear Shir, they didn't like Rabbi Gamliel's Shir? No. The Gemara says that what happened was that Rabbi Gamliel had a policy, an admissions policy, into his yeshiva. And that was that any Talmud that wasn't Tocho Kavaro, any person whose inside, his inner character traits, did not reflect who he was outside, was not allowed inside. He wasn't allowed to come in. And he put a guard by the door to make sure that those people wouldn't get in. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah came along, he removed the guard, and all of a sudden everyone was able to come in. It was an open door policy, people were able to come into the yeshiva. And the Gemara says that when Rabbi Gamliel saw that all of a sudden there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of new people. You have to assume every bench probably had a lot of people on it, right? Thousands of new students entering into the yeshiva. So Chal Shadaite, he started to feel bad because, maybe he held back many more people to be able to learn. Maybe because of him, an exorbitant amount of Torah wasn't learned in the world. So Chal Shadaite. The Gemara says that he had a vision, and Hashem showed him in his dream Chatzpei Chivri Demalyan Kitma, white pitchers filled with ash. So that was like a sign to him, the Maharsha explains, that it's white pitchers, they look nice and clean on the outside, but inside they're ash. And don't worry, you made a good call. But the Gemara says, Velohi. That was just to appease Rabban Gamliel, because he really acted l'shem shamayim. He had pure intentions in the way that he made his decision, but really it wasn't the best thing, and that Hashem just wanted to make sure that he wouldn't feel depressed from his decision. That's what the Gemara says. It's a little bit funny, this story. Hashem showed him this white pitcher with ashes in it, but that really wasn't true. Didn't really reflect who these people were. Really, they were okay. Like, what's going on? What changed in the story? What changed between what Rabbi Gamliel thought, what Rabbi Azariah thought? So I once heard an answer from Rav Chatzkel Weinfeld, touch different, but the same idea. He said as follows. He said that, the white pitcher, ashes inside, these people weren't tocho kavaro. Their insides were not reflecting what they were showing on the outside. And Rabbi Gamliel all of a sudden felt bad that he didn't let these people in. Why? Because he saw that even if it was true that the person is not inside and out the same way, but he could become inside and out the same way. He could change. He could change his inside. He could change the way he feels. He could change his passion. The potential could come out at the end of the day. And therefore it's chal shadaite. And perhaps that's the idea of the white pitcher with the ash, because the white pitcher is clean. It's clean on the inside, it's clean on the outside. It's just ash. Ash, you just blow it away, the whole thing goes away, and it's clean again. Meaning, it's there, but it wasn't cemented on the inside. It wasn't like rust inside, right? It was ash. Ash is the easiest thing. You just blow away and it cleans up. Chick-chack. It's true that people weren't allowed in, but Elazar ben Azariah was saying that, it won't them in, but they could change. They could go ahead and become something much bigger. Unfortunately, when we think of this idea of toho kavaro, and I hear this all the time, I can't act this way because it would be fake. It's not me, so I can't go ahead and act this way. What are we saying? We're being very frum, right? It's not toho kavaro, so I'm not allowed to do this. I can't act this way. I can't daven like that. I can't learn like that because, that's not really me. But on the other hand, if that's how you feel, that's how you want it to be, it's true it's not you yet. But acting that way and doing something that you want allows your whole body to change. Allows the inside to change. Like the Sefer Chinuch writes multiple times, our outward actions has a tremendous effect on our inward feelings and our emotions. It's very important. And that, he explained, is the idea of the 3 boxes, gold, wood, gold. It's true that maybe the gold, the purity of your emotions and your intentions doesn't permeate all the way through to the outside. In the middle, it's 8. But deep inside, it's gold. Deep inside, this is what I want. If you ask me, do I want to be able to learn for an hour straight without making a joke, without going ahead outside and taking a break or whatever? Do I want that? Yeah, I want it. So why can't I act that way? Because it's not me yet. But if inside you're gold, if inside you have that passion, if inside you have those good, pure feelings, so then you can act that way outside. It's okay if it's not all the way through, if it's not fully you yet. Because it is you. Because your ratzon, your desire, your passion is your toho. That's what this Gemara is saying. That's what the Aron is. The Aron wasn't all the way through gold. The inside, the deep inside, the pneumius was gold. It was pure. It was what you wanted. And then you're allowed to act that way on the outside. And by doing that, it allows a person to go ahead and change. So we have to make sure that we don't become paralyzed by this idea. We shouldn't be scared to do something that's a little bit different than we're used to, or to push ourselves to certain heights, certain ways of behaving, certain ways of making jokes, certain ways of speaking, certain ways of relating to other people. We shouldn't say, well, that's not me, I can't do it. Would we want to do it if we could? Yeah, sure, that's the best, that's the ideal. I want to be like that. Okay, so that means inside you have it. You have the gold inside, it's there. So you are allowed to go ahead and act that way. And Mir Hashem, the more you speak that way, the more the inside will start to become more and more and more and more like the inner core, that inner passion that we all have. So we shouldn't think that this is an impossibility and we set this bar very, very low that we can never act that way. For sure, we can't be paralyzed. We should never think that, oh, it's fake. It's not fake. Even with friends. I've heard this sometimes. A person will say, oh, I can't really learn with him because, he's learning Bismedish till very, very late at night. But it's fake. How do you know? Maybe inside he really, really wants it. He really, really wants this. So then it's not fake at all. It's real. Is he fully, completely, everything in sync? No. But we'll get there. We'll get there. So we should try to push ourselves to very, very strong heights. We should allow our inner desires, our emotions, our passions that we all have in the highest level, we should let that go out. We should let it free. Let it act. Act based on that. And Bezrat Hashem, through that, we'll become pure totally from all parts of our entire life and every way that we act in our whole being. Shabbat Shalom.